right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Empyrion Galactic Survival Learning Zone. I'm KnowItAllDM, and today I'm going to be showing off the beginning of the game for Alpha 8. Due to the Alpha 8 update, any previous information shown about how to start off a game is now irrelevant because it's been extremely updated. Now, I'm going to start with the settings on easy, but I want to show you the sort of setup that they've done here. So I'm going to start on the default Akua Omicron because starting on the default random, which is the single player and story mode type thing, it basically gives you a tutorial on what to do. So I'm going to do this as if it were a multiplayer game for if you guys enjoy multiplayer servers and such like that, so you can get your start without fumbling around in the dark. Figuratively, literally, I mean, you've got a shoulder mounted light that is anyway. So I'm going to start with the settings on easy, but going through the settings for you who want to customize this in single player. Your start equipment is the amount of stuff that you start with. I'm going to start on easy, so we start with the most stuff, just because. I'm going to start everything on easy, but player progression, that's how much XP you gain. Degradation speed is how fast your gear and weapons degrade. You can actually turn this completely off if you want. I'm just going to leave it on slow because that's an easy preset. With your life stats, you've got food, oxygen, and temperature impact. You can actually turn the temperature impact off, but and oxygen consumption and food consumption you can also turn off. This makes it a lot more similar to a creative game than a survival game. But if you wanted to, say, do the storyline without having to worry too much about food or worry at all about food and oxygen and temperature, you can just turn those off. But I'm just going to leave those on slow because, as I said, that's easy. The amount of ore per deposit, number of deposits, that's basically self-explanatory. And then the auto miner depletion, if this is on true, it will deplete auto miners on the it'll deplete the mineral nodes for not the non-voxel based ones. The voxel based ones never get depleted. The enemy difficulty is basically the hit points they have, and I think the damage they do, but I'm not positive about that. Rate of NPC spawn, how often they spawn. Overall drone presence is how often drones spawn and, you know, how many drones are around the planets. And the drone base attack is when drones attack your base, this influences the number of waves and how difficult those waves are. Constructor craft speed affects how fast your when you use any type of constructor, how fast those craft it. Constructor, food processor, that sort of thing. The blueprint and repair speed influences the blueprint factory and repair bays. So if your ships are taking forever to repair because you have it on slow, it'll take a while. The blueprint spawn limit makes it limit whether or not blueprints you spawn from the factory must be placed on a flat CV or base, depending on what they are. Like CVs would have to be placed on bases, but SVs and HVs could be placed on either. And the block limit for certain devices is the basic weapons limit per vessel, repair base limit, that sort of thing. So I'm just going to leave it on easy. I'm going to leave the things on true just because that's, the way they are. Oddly enough, the true-false questions don't affect the preset and aren't affected by the presets, so it's kind of weird. But I'm going to start on Akua as opposed to Taladar because they're identical, except for, slight differences in this. I'm hoping soon they'll start you back on Omicron in addition to Taladar and the other planets. I do have a scenario set up which I've called Advanced Akua Omicron, which is a little bit different. It's got Akua, Sienna, Taladar, which is different than Akua, Masperon, and of course Omicron. each one with an increasingly different difficult start, 1 through 5, and you can see it as you flip through it, which one is more difficult. And my goal with this scenario was to keep it in line with Alpha 8's start, but make the planets as similar to the originals of their type as possible. So, for example, on Taladar, you start on the planet in an underground bunker. In Sienna, you start escape pod crashing on the planet. But because Sienna, Masperon, and Omicron have no oxygen, you start in light armor. Masperon, there's a lot of radiation, so you also start on the planet in a radiation shelter. But additionally, if I'm not mistaken, Sienna, I don't know. Some of them might have whatchamacallem, patrol vessels. I think Sienna and Masperon, I think, have them. Omicron might, but anyway. And Taladar, you start on the planet in the underground bunker like you did before, but instead of getting the gear, it's more damaged. So you basically start with the limits that you do on Akua, and the only difference is that with Taladar, you have radiation, which is affecting you. It's not as high as the original Taladar was, but it's still radiation that you have to contend with. Once you get a light armor, you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, we're going to start on the defaults because defaults are default. So here we are, default Akua Omicron, and we're going to start in survival mode on easy with everything on true. Okay, random seed. And now we are going to start. Now, for those of you who've never played this before, never seen it played, whatever, when you start, you'll notice this arrow. You can start a co-op server on your own computer, and whenever you load the game, you can load it back as a co-op server and then shut down that server off your computer. So that way, it'll be a server run by your computer that you can have friends get on and then not. But if you just want to do single player, just hit start and get into the game. Right. Wow, we're actually right near the crashed ship, which is a random POI. That's fortuitous for us, but I'm just gonna go on and avoid that because there's a drone there. So I'm gonna head off this direction, and so for those of you who's never played, and for those of you who have played before, I'm going to do this as if it's just, fresh start, never played the game before, I've played the game, but I'm going to do it so those who have never played the game will understand what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to reference previous versions, or as little as I can. So the first thing when you start off that you're always going to want to do, and you can access the escape pod with your access button, which is basically it's F to start with, and there's always purified water in the escape pod. Always, I don't know if it's always 2, but it's at least 1 purified water in the escape pod. Always. So the basic equipment that you start with in your inventory, you start with a survival tool, which we're going to go ahead and put on the hotbar. You start with a survival tent, which is only usable in single player, but when you use it, you can only use it at night, and you'll sleep until it's day. When you do that, it fixes the hangover, bad trip, and restores your temperature back to normal. Flashlight is pointless because we have this shoulder-mounted flashlight here that you can just activate with L. I have been told that the handheld flashlight it's definitely brighter, as you can see. Like, there's that light, and then the flashlight. So it's definitely brighter, but The only use some people have told me for it is basically the fog. When fog comes, it really helps. So, sorry, we're going to ignore that for now. You also start with a few medical and food supplies. So our basic food is energy bars. Energy bars can be created in your survival constructor from plant protein, which itself can be created from vegetables or found around by gathering things. Now, everything in here can be crafted. The ingredients can be gathered either by using the survival tool or just by picking it by hand, with the exception of the emergency O2, which is made straight from purified water. But so you start with 2 purified water, and you can turn that to oxygen if you need it. Now, on this planet, we have, unlimited oxygen, so we don't need that. Now, your basic tool, as I said, to start with is the survival tool, which you'll notice you can craft in your survival constructor for absolutely free. Now, when you right click with a tool, you get this little circular thing. You just right click, you don't have to hold it, and you get to switch between different modes. Now, with the survival tool, you've got a defense mode, which is a short range weapon, but it can also harvest wood. You've got a salvage mode, which you can salvage stuff off of your own or public structures or structures that have no core, such as wreckages. And you can also, it's also got a rock drill, which you can use on like rocks like this. And it'll give you resources. Now, most rocks like that just give you crushed stone, but there are nodes lying around that we're going to try to find that give you other resources: iron, copper, silicon, that sort of thing. Now, when you run, of course, you use stamina. So a little tip is if you do a run jump, sort of like that, and what you want to do is you want to make sure you take your finger off the shift as you're in the air. So that way you can go as far as you want without the stamina. You'll notice it regenerates while you're in the air. And that way it saves you on stamina, because stamina, when it recharges, uses your food. So just shift space, unshift. And you can hold space as long as you want, but you're going to want to let it go before you hit the ground. Now, to pick up things, of course, it's just your activate button. Here's a silicon bearing, as it's called, which is a silicon rock. You'll notice when I drill this rock that it drops silicon ore, and I can grab that. And that's one thing that you use for crafting. You'll notice that you need it for a portable constructor. So now I've gathered several stuff. Spice is really useful. I like to pick up as much spice as I can because it gives you 45 food if you need it. It increases your stamina and increases your body temperature by 1. It does do 1 health when you use it, but it's also an ingredient for stomach pills, I believe, which later on removes the indigestion, just like spice does. Spice also removes frostbite. Stomach pills are, I started with some because I started on easy. I also picked up natural stimulant, not as important, but you use them to make energy drinks. Buds, on the other hand, are extremely important because you can use buds to craft hot beverages. Now, what hot beverages do is it increases your temperature by 3. Now, your temperature, let's do a little screen thing. So down here in the lower left corner, you've got your primary statistics. You've got health, food, stamina, and oxygen. You'll notice that the O2 thing here is lit up. That means that the atmosphere that you're in has oxygen. My helmet is off. You can put the helmet on and off with U, but only if you're wearing armor. The jetpack icon is over here. So with your armor, you've got a jetpack in it. There's gravity here because you're on a planet. That's why that's lit up. And these last two, the first one here means that there's a enemy base nearby or another player's base nearby, and you can't build or dig in the ground. The other one is resources nearby, which means you can't build, but you can still dig in the ground. Now, these are only active on multiplayer servers and only those that have anti-griefing mechanics in play. So the next thing is down here, the hotbar, which of course you've already seen. And down here on the right are the statistics for the tool that you're using or the weapon that you're using at the time. On the top right, you've got your mini map, you've got the weather, your biome that you're in. I'm currently in the forest biome. And then the time. Now the time you'll notice is counting down. What that is you'll see this has an arrow pointing down. That means you've got 5 hours and 43 minutes until sundown. At night, that'll flip around and it'll tell you how many hours and minutes you have until sun up. Now, you'll notice that it goes by about 1 minute every 3 or 4 seconds, which roughly translates to about 45 minutes for a 24-hour cycle. Underneath the mini map, or the little compass map, you can actually press M and get this map. We'll go over that later. But also to bring this up, you just press B and it'll bring up all the players that are online at the time, your name, your playfield, their name, their playfield, levels, kills, etc. But back over here. So we've got the current outside temperature, or not outside temperature, the temperature that you are at, or that the atmosphere right immediately around you is at. Even though it says this value indicates the temperature outside, that's not true. This little icon here indicates the temperature that is outside the base. They sort of have these flipped. This is the temperature at your current position. This is the temperature that it is outside. And this little thing up here is the temperature that it's your body temperature, basically. So if your body temperature drops too low or goes too high, you'll start getting effects, cold, too cold, freezing, too hot, overheating, that sort of thing. This is your radiation. This is the immediate radiation at your position. This down here is the radiation outside, and this up here is the radioactivity that's at your body radiation. When this gets too high, you get radiation poisoning, and eventually you'll get either radiation poisoning or sickness first, and then vice versa afterwards. And there are tools and medicines to fix that. But anyway, so one of the most important resources you have while going around are the items you collect. Now, the main thing you want to be on the lookout for at the beginning of the game is berries and vegetables, because in your survival constructor, you can make berry juice and vegetable juice, which heal you, which is your first healing items that can actually heal your health. Also, when your food is above 485, I believe it is, you gain a well-fed bonus, which increases your health if you're damaged. So we're going to be on the lookout for berries and such, but for now, what we want to do is start looking for resources. Now, the primary resources are iron, silicon, and copper. In the forest, there is silicon and copper, so we're going to look for silicon and copper as we're going along. Now, I know I missed a silicon node back there, but I'm not going to worry about it too much, because this is, after all, a tutorial, and I've got enough silicon with me to make the portable constructor, which is all I need to get started. You'll notice that this icon over here turned red, because if you go below 15 degrees, this is red, meaning that your body temperature is actually decreasing. When your body temperature gets below, I want to say 10, you get the too cold thing, and then when it gets below 0, I believe, you get the freezing debuff. I guess I'll call it condition. Is what it's called. So let's see. I don't know why I'm really jumping, because you can run, and if you do it sort of at an angle like this, I've heard it's just as fast as run jumping, but once you have a suit, it's not. So I'm gonna avoid that, because that little red thing, that red icon, means there's a drone, and that drone is 430 meters away, whereas the capital vessel is 420 meters away. So it's on the other side of the capital vessel, but not by much. Now this is a biome that it was recently added to the terrestrial planet, or the temperate planets. This is a dust bowl. Dust bowls have silicon in them, and I think iron occasionally, but mostly silicon. That's all I found in here is silicon, but I think they're supposed to have iron in them too. But after the first few hours, after 24 in-game hours, hostile creatures start spawning, and hostile creatures that spawn in dust bowls are nasty. So you want to avoid dust bowls later in the game, but earlier on you can come in here and you can get some easy plant fibers, which are good for crafting biofuel, as well as weapon ammo, because you need the plant I'm getting way too close to that. You need the plant fibers to craft nitrocellulose powder, which is used for weapons instead of gunpowder. Oh, I don't want to take fall damage. I almost fell too far. Now, you'll notice that the gravity on this planet is a little lighter. Let's see, on the map, the gravity is 0.83, and that makes it where, jumping, I can jump further, and before taking fall damage, like I can fall further, and I fall slower, and, But oddly enough, now this is something that I found really interesting. It does not matter what gravity you have in here on the planet or in space, enemy creatures always fall to the ground. Like, fall downward, doesn't matter which direction gravity is for, and at the same rate. Whether there's no gravity, lots of gravity, whatever, creatures that spawn always act as if they have 1G in the direction of the plane of the playing field. So in this instance, of course, this would be the plane of the playing field, so they'd fall this way, I guess perpendicular to the plane. Anyway, and they always fall at 1G. You, on the other hand, will fall at various Gs based on the thing. That's a little something that, they didn't take into account. Also, if there is gravity on if you're on a planet, oddly enough, if you're on a planet, resources act the same, but if you're in space, resources and such just float. So, now, let's see, alien honey, they recently made that so it fixes dermal burn, poisonous bite, and indigestion. I think it did dermal burn and poisonous bite before, but indigestion, something new for it, because spice used to be the only thing to cure indigestion, which is odd because honey actually does fix indigestion, but of course they call that natural sweetener because they have food groups now instead of individual fruits and vegetables and such, which I like and I don't like for various reasons. But anyway, so now I'm at level 3. I've gotten some iron, copper, and silicon. So now that I'm level 3, I can come into my tech tree and I can go to miscellaneous and I can learn the portable constructor. The The portable constructor and portable heater cooler are usually the first two things I learn. The portable constructor first, obviously, and then the portable heater cooler if I'm having problems with overheating. Now, in the survival thing, I want to go ahead and do that. And then I could make this if I wanted. There's a little glitch with the water O2 condenser in a atmosphere that has no humidity, no oxygen content, I mean. So if this is 0%, this will give, when you first put something in there, it'll say no, or before you do, it says no fuel. You put a fuel item in there and it says, okay, it's working. After that, it says no source material. Then if you take the fuel out before it uses the next fuel thing, it activates as if you put fuel in it, which is weird. But only in a atmosphere that has no oxygen content, has a 0%. Otherwise, it says, hey, there's stuff. You'll also notice that when I mouse over things, you can see, when I'm close enough anyway, you can see what it is. Now this is a pangolin. You don't want to aggro pangolin. Under normal circumstances, they're perfectly fine. They look terrifying, but you get too close and they run away. If you accidentally attack them, you're dead. They will charge you and murder your face. So, best stay away. But now that I have a portable constructor, you can actually place a portable constructor along with the portable heater cooler or O2 condenser on the ground. These are the only items in addition to the tent that can be placed on the ground, apart from work lights. Work lights also can be placed on the ground. But the portable constructor can now turn ores into ingots, and you can start crafting more complex devices in addition to base and hover vessel stuff. So now I'm going to be on the lookout for more copper. Let's see. Because I need a little bit of copper to make electronics, to make a drill. Now, while I'm here, I also need copper for bullets for a gun, so I'm not even going to worry about that. So you can pick up the portable constructor and everything will be fine. So now my primary goal, ooh, berries, yay. Pick up 2 berries, and 2 berries can make berry juice. So if I get hurt, I can fix that. So now my primary goal is to find some copper. The biomes you want to look for copper. Copper's almost found everywhere. But the largest source of copper is in what's called the deep woods biome. You'll notice the deep woods biome when you see these large trees. So if you're looking for copper, you can head into these. Now, once hostile creatures have been spawning, there's some copper. You don't really want to go into the deep woods biome because there are large insects that will kill your face in here. But before that, it's perfectly fine. The best place to find iron early game is the grasslands. The best place to find copper is in the deep woods biome. And the best place to find silicon is either the forest or the mountains. But now we can use our portable constructor, and I'm going to throw the survival tent down as well because it's almost getting dark. But this is the main reason. When you put the survival tent down, grass disappears. But it's almost to get dark, but I'm going to work through the night because there's no hostile creatures until the next day. So the first things you want to build. Now, some people do it in different orders. My first thing that I want is a drill. and fuel for the drill. Fuel for the drill is biofuel. So drill and 3 biofuel. My next thing that I want is projectile pistol ammo. And let's see, nitrocellulose uses 1 plant fiber. So I'm going to go ahead and do 6 of that, which creates 20 nitrocellulose. And 20 nitrocellulose can make 20 each. So I'm not going to be able to make that many, so I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm just going to start making bullets. I'm going to go based off copper ingots. I'm going to do 5, which each one creates 25 ammo. And that should give me enough ammo and have some copper left over. My next thing that I want to do is make a motorbike. Now, of course, the motorbike requires a motorbike construction kit, which requires some stuff inside here. But you can do that basically with, if you get 5 copper, 5 iron, 5 silicon, you can make enough stuff to do it. And your portable constructor goes ahead and crafts the necessary ingredients. So I've got plant protein here. I'm going to go ahead, turn that into energy bars. Also, a lot of food items and stuff do have perish timers, as you can see, which is in real life minutes. And those perish timers will be temporarily halted when you put them in refrigerators or food processors. And then when you pull them out, they start decaying again, but which are, you know, later items. Now for the tech tree, now I don't really understand this. Why, if the portable constructor is level 3, do they have anything that you can build less than level 3? For example, well, it looks like they changed that. Everything that's level 1 you automatically have unlocked. But like pistol at level 1. You can't build a pistol till you have a portable constructor, which is level 3. It may already be unlocked, but it says level 1. Now, if it said all, you know, auto, where, you know, everything on here is automatically gained. If it said, you know, auto learn, then I'd understand it. But at least now, because they used to have things that unlocked at like level 2 because whatever. But okay. But so everything at level 1 is automatically unlocked. So, okay, I understand it now. They changed that recently. Okay, so now I've got a drill, a gun, and ammunition for those. So once my weapon is finished, or once all my ammo is finished, I should still have enough for the motorbike. I'm going to go ahead and reload the drill. Reload that. Now, my next goal is going to be to make a base or hover vessel, but bases are easier to start with. Now, a hover vessel, you can make it level 1 because of the new hover thrusters. It'd be a basic hover vessel, but it would still work. But now that I'm level 3, I'm going to go ahead and grab all this. But now that I'm level 3, because of building this, I could use some of my stuff to go ahead and unlock. Oh, that's not unlocked. That's not unlocked. Why is that not unlocked? Why, that should be level 3, and then I don't know. But I'm not going to worry about unlocking the hover vessel stuff, because I'm just going to start by building a base. Now, the absolute basics for a base, you start with. So I'm not even going to unlock anything yet. When I do, the first thing I'm probably going to unlock will be the fuel tank and the generator, or the solar panels as opposed to the small solar panels. But anyway, now that it's nighttime, I want to start looking for resource deposits. Now, I haven't found any resource deposits nearby, but you can see that there are a lot of them because of the difficulty setting that I have it on. So I'm going to look for resource deposits, particularly iron. Copper and silicon is, are secondary to iron because iron is used for a lot of stuff. Copper and silicon for devices. Iron is used for the heavier armors and the like. Like, not armor for you, but like steel plate, steel blocks, things like that. You could also use concrete, which is made from crushed stone, which you can just dig in the ground and get, which it's a lot easier to get, and it's more convenient than wood, or as convenient as wood, but more, what's the word? Has more hit points, I guess. But metal, the benefit of metal is that it reduces damage. So we're going to start off probably with a wooden base. But I want to find a good place to put the base, which my preference is to put bases along water, particularly lakes and grasslands. So here's a grassland, but it looks like, let's see, does this have a beach near the water, or is it a swamp? It looks like there's a beach near. Oh, and there's an ancient shelter. Now, ancient shelters are sort of pre-made bases. You can find various different types of pre-made bases. I believe they're called, you've got ruins and you've got wreckage, which are two different types. This one appears to be a ruins type, but it could be a wreckage. It's not a wreckage type. But it's an already built structure, which is almost fully made. So I'm going to just go ahead and convert this into my base. Now, you'll notice when you press P for the control panel, there is no core present. So I want to use my my constructor here to make a core. Now, I need more copper, I believe, to make this core. Computer and optical fiber. Or silicon. Oddly enough, it needs more silicon. Oh, there. There's some silicon. I still need more. That's odd. Let's go ahead. Now, I want to go ahead and figure out exactly which I need. So for computers or optical fiber, I can make optical fiber with silicon ingots. But let's just go down the list of this and see. So 6 steel plates, 4 electronics. Not going to worry about the steel plates. If I make 4 electronics, it's going to be copper that I need. Okay. I really only had to do that twice, so I just wasted some resources. Well, a little bit, but so I need computer, and the computer is going to need optical fiber and electronics. So yeah, it's going to need silicon. That's what it's going to need. Good thing I am near a forest. Now, the motorbike is not the best transport. I always carry a motorbike around because it is quick transport for close exploration. Early game, it's your earliest mode of transportation, but later in the game, you're going to rely on hover vessels more for ground-based transport, and then even small vessels for air-based transport. I usually carry a hover vessel because hover vessels can be like mobile bases, and have more devices related to that sort of pursuit, clone chambers and medic stations and the like. Whereas small vessels, the best you can hope for is an oxygen station. You can have a constructor on either, but okay. Now, if I don't find any silicon nodes, I could go up into the mountains and see if there's any up there. But if I don't find any silicon nodes, my best bet is probably going to be these rock formations here. Rock drill. Because these drop a decent amount of crushed stone, which you can use to turn into other materials. So I'm gonna gather some crushed stone and turn those into silicon. Into whatever silicon I may need. Now, you'll notice that to turn crushed stone into silicon, you need 15 crushed stone for silicon, 25 for iron, and 50 for copper. That's not going to be enough crushed stone to make what we need, because I believe we're also in need of copper. So let's see if I can find a nearby deep woods biome or other biome. Copper can be found, like I said, almost anywhere. Grasslands. If you start on a random planet in the random scenario, the starter biome is the best place to find copper as well as iron. Ooh, is that silicon there? That looks like silicon. Okay. So now my food's gotten down a little bit. I'm going to use my energy bar. Shift right click and you can use the energy bar directly from the inventory without having to clutter up your toolbar. Let's see if there's any copper around. So let's go ahead and get this. I like this rock formation because there's sort of like this little cave area, but it doesn't actually help protect you or anything. And there we go. That's the largest. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. So with your drill, you can recharge up to 750 with using one biofuel. But if you do that, it'll just waste whatever was already in there. You'll notice when I got on the bike, it gave me back that biofuel. You can either do that or change weapons in the middle of it, and it will give you back whatever you're trying to reload to. So if you accidentally reload, you can get on your bike, you can do, now with weapons that reload, that have like 1 per 1 for like weapons specifically, it doesn't matter as much because it'll just load up to the maximum using the remainder. But since it's one charge for a multiple amount of ammo for the drill, the multi-tool, and the larger drill as well, you want to be able to cancel the reload mid-reload, and that's an easy way to do it. More berries. Okay. I'm getting a little far from that shelter, but I can always go back. So what I'm going to do, oh, there's a survival tent. Let's go back to my survival tent. I'm glad it does that. I forgot to pick up my survival tent. They didn't used to have icons, but now they do. Give me this back. Well, at least I'm in the deep woods biome now. Maybe there's some copper lying around here. Ah! Okay. I'm going to need at least one more copper node. Ah, hello. Okay. Now, we should be good to head back to... let's delete that. Let's see, right click, remove. That's the capital vessel. This over here is the ancient shelter. So I'm going to put waypoint and the home icon, and that will lead me back to the ancient shelter. If I did not put the waypoint, it just would be white and sort of less visible, but because it's yellow, it's a lot more visible. You'd still be able to see it from a far distance. It's just, oh, hello. There's some more copper. I'm going to go ahead and take it because I know I'm going to need it. Okay. So let's get this ancient shelter up and running. Now, normally it takes a little bit longer to get your first base set up unless you can find a POI like this. And as a note, POIs like this can only be claimed in single player. If you're on a server or on a co-op game, you cannot claim them because they are set to regenerate. Which is true of everything now. So on servers or co-op games, you cannot claim POIs. On single player, you can. Now you'll notice I'm going over the mountain. I'm doing this largely so I can flesh out my map a little more. Okay. Ah, silicon. Hello. Pick that up, pick that up. So now I should have, more copper. You'll notice that I'm in the low mountains biome now, which has copper and silicon. The higher mountains don't always have, I don't think the higher mountain areas have resources. If they do, it's probably just less copper and silicon. So back to the base, which seems to already have a, let's see what it already has. It has a large, solar panel already on it. Once I get my core down, I'll be able to see everything that it has. Where's my entrance? Over here. Okay. Copper, rocks, silicon. So I can make a core now. Now, the benefit in single player for claiming a base rather than building your own is that drones from the drone base do not attack a POI that was claimed, but they do attack bases that were built. So that's interesting. They do attack bases that were built. So what I'm going to want to do is claim this POI as my own. Once that is done, while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead and clear out some of this rubble. Now, it's not giving me back anything. If I used a multi-tool, I believe I would get like 1 cement back or something. Oh, didn't mean to hit that, but we'll repair it later. You can only repair blocks once you get a multi-tool. I hear a... What is that? That sounds like a oh, that sounds like a Talon Guardian, or let's see. You can always press F5 to get a drone. Yeah, there's the Talon Guardians. They're neutral aligned. They're not hostile. For now, I'm gonna leave these things that look like they're patching things up, because you'll notice that some of them are like they're actually doing things, but for like this, I'm gonna do that and get rid of it so you can see out the window. Okay. It looks like those are full blocks, so I'm gonna get rid of the cement out here. And we'll eventually, I mean, not that it matters right now, we'll eventually, if I were to keep playing this, we'll eventually have that turned into something better. What is this? These are force field. Interesting. I wonder if that's a 3x3 or just one. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, you'll also notice that I saw this back here just now. You've got a solar capacitor. So as soon as we put a core down, we should be good. Oh, and there's a force field emitter there too. We're going to wait to salvage the force field emitters, because you'll notice that the survival tool here only gains 0.333% of the stuff back, whereas a survival tool that you can use later on gains more. Okay. So we're going to want to go ahead and put down the core. I think I want to put the core like up here. I'm going to just put it right there. Now we have a base with limited power. It's already got a light in here that's been set up. Force fields. Okay, so there's a force field here. It looks like the interior is almost completely sealed. I believe this is the only factor that's making it not be sealed. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put that in there. Let's just make up. Let's go grab a thing of logs with defense mode. You can actually get this up to 15 meters with defense mode, whereas the drill you have to be like 5 meters, which is like right up on it. So this is actually a really good tool for gaining wood if you like earlier on, and it uses no ammo right now. So it also automatically sends it to your inventory, which the chainsaw does not. So now, for now, the force fields being there are fine, but we're eventually going to want to replace them with actual walls. Let me get rid of this like that, and then I can put this in here, and you can use wood logs to create plant fibers, which you can then use for nitrocellulose or biofuel. But what I'm going to use it for is making a wooden block. And you can make a lot of wooden blocks with a little bit of logs. So let's go ahead and replace that, because that one damaged block, I believe, was what was preventing this from being sealed. Now, there may be other damaged blocks that I don't see that are also preventing it from being sealed, but we're gonna have to figure that out. I don't see any more that aren't actually resealed. So like over here I'm getting 22, but back in here I'm not. Let's check airtight blocks, shall we? So press in to get the debug menu up, and then you can press show airtight, and then you can see the devices and such that are airtight. This here is not airtight, so this is another thing that's causing our lack of lack of, let's just go ahead and do 10 of them. Lack of integrity. This one is not airtight, so we're going to want to replace that one. Okay, let's... Okay. Get back in here. Now you can barely see with those green blocks going. Now we've got 10 wooden blocks. I'm going to just put the full blocks in the areas that I took them out of. Now, there's a couple up there. And there. This one is also not airtight, but I think it doesn't matter as much because there's an airtight block behind it. I'm going to leave it for now. But I need, to get up here to get rid of this one. And wood. Okay, now you'll notice that my temperature here has neutralized to 22, and that means that this place is completely airtight. So now that it's completely airtight, I can just go ahead and get rid of the annoying show airtight blocks, and I can leave this out here. And we've got our basic base started. Now, I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I'm going to leave these emitters here. Now, I'm wondering why this thing is still running, because it has, all right, it's got 3 minutes of power left, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and make a door, a refrigerator, a large constructor, a clone chamber. Let's go into the base thing here. Let's go ahead and unlock the food processor. I don't really need sentry guns, so we're gonna go that and that. So now, after all those are made, I doubt it'll be able to make the large constructor after it's done. But we can go ahead and put the door. I want to put this door, I'm going to make it a sliding glass door. I'm going to put it right here. Now, force fields just keep things airtight. They do not actually block movement. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting blocks down on the lower areas to prevent things from coming in and out. Now I need to get rid of this and this. All right. This I'm going to do a full block because I can't put anything there anyway on that block area. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do it here and there as well. So when I finally get rid of that that force field, and the reason I'm not going ahead and getting rid of it is, like I said before, they're worth a lot of resources because they have, they require, and I'll show you in a second, if you look in the tech tree, first of all, they are level 7 things, but you'll notice that it requires a power coil. Power coils require Erestrum and Zascosium, which are not the best, or not the easiest to find materials. So we're going to leave that. We'll probably do a bit more later if we come back to this, which I might, because even though it's on easy, as a learning tool, I can just continue to teach you through and through. So we've got a refrigerator and a large constructor. We've got 2 minutes left. I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to use this area over here for my kitchen area. And there are 3 different styles of refrigerators. Each, it's just an aesthetic change, but also changes how much space they take up. It does not change their content space. So I'm going to put it right here, and it's, you know, a fridge that can be used to prevent things from spoiling. The next that I have is this large constructor. I'm going to put the large constructor. Where do I want to put this? I want to, let's see. I want to put it somewhere where it's useful but out of the way. I think this corner would be perfect if, let's see, though. Okay, so those glass windows do not take up space. Let's get rid of these 4 here. Which I might have to put, yeah. I'm going to have to put things on the outside. Let's go ahead, come back over here, and I'm going to make up 4 wooden blocks. And there goes the base. That I can leave because it's a full steel block, so I only need 3 of these, really. You'll notice the base is out of power, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. All right, I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to put these walls here, because the base is going on and off because it's at the point where it has no power, but yet it's also gaining a little bit of power because of this. Because you see it's got 1 dot. And when that is lit up, it's gaining a little bit of power. So it's gaining it and then using it almost immediately. But you'll notice it's like blinking less and less often. So let's go ahead, clone chamber. And the reason it started using more power is because I added devices. So let's see, did I learn the large solar panels? No, let's go ahead, learn the large solar panels. And I can't craft up the large ones in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all those and I'm going to put it in here. Like so. And I'm going to make some more large solar panels. I'm going to make 5 more. While I'm waiting for those to craft up, I'm going to get rid of some of these blocks on the top that are in the way. All right, so I should be able to go ahead and get rid of this. Now, these are actually sealing holes that are in there, or some of them are at least. So I'm not going to take those up just yet until let's see, if I do this, device core show on HUD, that should give me a location. All right, so the core is underneath here. I'm going to leave that one. I'm just going to go ahead and leave them all for now. Let's see. You've made 1. All right, let's put this other one facing the opposite direction out here. Like so. And let's see. That's got 3 dots. That one's got 4 dots. I'm going to want to change the angle of this one once I get a multi-tool, because I'm going to want it to be flat. And okay, so it's almost done making 1 more. Okay, so this one, you'll notice it's staying on more and blinking more. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put a flat one, because we're right on the equator, so a flat one would do the best. I'm going to put a flat one right here, which should gain a good amount of power. Now, I don't know why it's only got, okay, it's got 2 dots, 2 dots, 1 dot, and 3 dots. So this one's not getting as much sun as the others, but that's okay. So now once those are done being made up, we should be gaining more power than we're losing at that point. I'm going to hold on to this. Let's go ahead and put the clone chamber down. I think I want to put the clone chamber. Let's see. If this is going to be my kitchen area, then I'm going to want to put the clone chamber over here. Would be a good place for it. I'm going to put it right there. That might be the last solar panel that it can make up, depending on how much more resources it needs. Probably needs iron. No, it's got steel plates enough to make 2 more, so I don't know. Okay, so with these, I'm going to put them over top of this with the horizontal solar panel 2. Like that. So it's almost at the same level as this, but it's basically just being held up by those and these. So now you can have a total of 15 solar panels. Whether they are large or small, it doesn't matter. You can't have 15 of each. Now, I like having this up here being a the thing that you can go in and out of force field, because it really helps with the drone movements and all. But eventually I'm going to want to plug up. What I'll probably do is plug them up, like cover them once I get rid of the force fields. But for now, I'm making one more, right? Yeah, I've got one more. Can I make more? No. All right, that's the most I can make. So what I'm going to do, and you'll notice that the force fields are now solid, staying on there. That's because they are they're whatchamacallit. Really ought to have done is put that over here, then one over here. But I think I can go ahead and just do that. And then if I get one more, I should be able to put it over. That's not far enough that way. So that's good enough. I've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now. And they're all working at full capacity. So I actually should be gaining. Yeah, I'm at 1%. You'll notice it says 7 minutes. That's going to go up to 8 minutes in a bit. Yeah, 8 minutes. So now I've got everything in here that I need. I've got a base that's started and built. So I think I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be it for this tutorial, because I basically showed off everything. The large constructor can build more stuff than the portable constructor, and it can be upgraded to an advanced constructor, which can build even more, but you still have to learn everything, But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this tutorial. If you guys want me to continue this tutorial from this point, this learning zone thing, I'll continue from here, and we will continue doing stuff. And I'll teach you more and more about the game as we go, trying to explain everything that I do as I do it. And if anybody has any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll be glad to answer them in the next tutorial. So, thank you for watching this. I'm KnowItAllDM. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. As always, as I said, I'm KnowItAllDM. And y'all have a good day now.